Okay, so once again, I said when you do your final project, if you don't do the main function, I will take 20 points off. Remember that. So how do you do everything in the main function? Here is an example. Okay, you just define a main function, and that's the function header. And whatever you want to do, it's inside the main function, right? Remember, previously, you don't have a function defined. You simply start a file, a script file, and you just say number equals to float, etc., and result equals square something. You without defining a function, you are just writing the instructions. Now, with the main function, you are writing the instructions inside the main, whatever you want to do inside the main. And in the main function, you also call other functions, right? You can call other functions. That's this one. So at the end of the script file, at the end, you will call the main function. That's what I meant when I say, okay, create a main function and call the main function to run your program. So when this program is run, the entry point for this program is not here. It doesn't go directly here. It comes here. Okay, that's the entry point. So it looks at it. Oh, main. Okay, I'm going to main. So it comes here to the first statement. Okay, that's the sequence. So this is the first step, and this is the second step. Versus if you simply have a script file, you know, if you we don't have it. If you simply have a script file, it will go to the first statement immediately, right? But in this situation, it will go to main, go to this statement first. Oh, you are calling the main function. Okay, I'm going to go to main. So that's what you will do. Any questions? And if you look at it, this is the syntax. Okay, that's the syntax. Make sure you spell everything correctly. This is simply to underscore, right? To underscore. And put the main function name inside and colon. And then simply call main, indented. If statement, right? Okay, so that's that. Any questions, everybody? No? I just want you to have questions, but no one has any question. Okay, I'm going to start a file and I will just save it first. Just save it on the desktop. Okay. Exercise. Okay, so remember previously what we do is, okay, I will calculate, I will display this number. You will always just do number input, right? Until a number, and then you will say number, and you add 10 to it, for example, plus equal to 10, right? And then you will display something like number, the new number is the increased value of number is, right? And I will just, okay, let's review that. We will use the concatenation. Oh, can I do this, everybody? I'm going to ask you that question. Can I do that?
Number equals int input enter a number.
Yes, yes, you have to cast this string because when you do input, everybody remember it's a string, right? So this is giving you a string and you really cannot do this. This will not work. I see a chat. I don't know if that's what you were talking about. So this will not work. You have to cast number into an int. So what I will do is I will do I number. It's equal to, I will cast it, right? Convert it into an int and then add 10 to it. Or you can simply put in here, just get it as a number instead of as a string, right? If you do that, then you don't need to do this. You can simply do number plus equal 10, right? So now number, I'm using this, I will use this syntax. Now number is an int, so we have to convert it to a string to concatenate with another string to print it out, right? So that's that. Remember the concatenation and the conversion. We discussed this in chapter 3 or something. Okay, so this is what we have learned prior to the main function. You simply do this, and then I will save it, I will run, and it will give me the correct thing, right? Correct output. But now we are not doing this. What we do is we will make it into a function, okay? We will, because we are organizing it, so we will do this. Define the main function, and you will indent them, right? Because it's the main function, and that is it. That's your main function, and then you will call the main function, and this is what you do, right? If underscore name underscore equal. Remember, this is the double equal sign because this is a Boolean expression. Main. Okay. If the name is main, then call main. Right? Okay. So here we define a main function and we call it. I have some invalid syntax. Oh, I forgot. What did I forget, everybody?
The semicolon.
Not semi, but colon, right?
Colon, sorry.
Colon. Yes, yes. Okay. Okay, so you enter a number and it's still the same. That's what I meant when I say you define a main function and you call it. Do you all understand this, everybody? So you can define, okay, instead of doing this here, this is a simple task, right? But I just want to give you this example. So instead of doing the calculation here, you can define a function, okay? Increase. And accept a number, okay? And you will increase it by 10, okay? So increase. And what you do is you will increase this number by 10. Right? And then return this number. Okay. So here, now we can call this function. Give me a minute. Let me recording. When you assign grade, it's a long if-else statement. That's when you define a function so that your main function is not clustered with instructions, with statements, but a one clean call to a function. Does that make sense, Sarah?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. Okay, so for this one, it's too simple. Can you make it into a function? Yes, but sometimes it doesn't show me that you understand it well. Okay, but if I do this, I'm giving you this example. So here, what I do is I can say, okay, I can say new num is equal to, because this increase will return a number, so you assign it to new num, right? And we call this increase, and then it requires an int here. So what do we pass? What do we want to increase? What is the parameter here?
Number.
Number, yes. That's the number we want to increase, right? So here, instead of number, we will use new num. And let's run. okay? And you can see it is still the same, right? That is defining the main function and define other functions, but eventually the entry point is main. That's why you have main here, right? And notice that the good thing about this is that this is very clean. You look at it, you know, oh, that's what you are doing. You're increasing the number value versus the detailed instruction, which is too much detail. So your main function, sometimes it's just a collection of calls to other functions. Okay, so if you look at this, this is really a call to other function, right? And it's very clean, very good. So let me do some other things. Okay, number, and let's see, we will get another number. Okay, what do we call it? Value to be add, value to add, okay, equals to int. And we will just ask the user to give me a value so that I can add to it until, yeah, until just another number to add, okay. So here we ask the user to enter another number. I'm going to delete these two, okay. And so here, what I want to do, I want to show you what I want to do is you can increase the number by a fixed number. In this case, it's 10, right? You can also increase it by whatever number you want to increase by. So I'm going to change this function, okay? So if you give me a number and you give me another number, I will add the other number to this number. That's what I'm trying to do. So give me a number and give me another number, okay? In this case, is the, not num, it is value to add, right? This is what the user entered. Enter a number to add to the original number. Okay, so just to make clear, your instruction has to be clear. So here, instead of saying num equals to num plus 10, what do we do? Everybody?
Num is equal to, or sorry, num plus equal to new or value to add.
Yes, exactly. Or I can do it a different way. Just make sure everybody understand. I will just declare a value, okay, sum equals to num plus value to add, right? And what do I return in this case?
The sum.
Sum, yes, very good, sum. Okay, so depending on where your value is, this is exactly the same as when you do this, right? You can use that. My husband is having a meeting again. Hope you don't hear him. Okay, so if you do that, that is another way, right? That's what we just said. But I'm showing you, you can do it this way also, either way. And if you do it this way, then you have to return num, right? So it's just different ways. If you do it this way, you will return the sum. If you do it this way, you will return num. They're all the same. Okay, so now we can call this function this way, value to add. Okay, here, you know, instead of say value to add, I'm going to just use value so that you know you don't have to use exactly the same name, everybody. Look at this. Okay, so I'm calling the function number value to add. because that's the value you entered, right? The user input. And here, my parameter list is num and value. And I'm using those two variables to do the calculation. Okay, so this means they don't have to be the same. They don't. Okay, they don't have to be the same. Look at this. So now it will increase entered, right? Let's run it. So enter a number 100, enter a number to add to the original number. Let's enter 60. And you have, instead of increase by 10, you are increasing the original number by whatever number you enter. Okay, that is defining that function. Any questions, everybody? Should I stop here and just let you look at it? I'm going to do another function, everybody, okay? Because this class, we have 1 hour and 30 minutes. It's completely practicing functions. So I'm going to just make this into a function, okay? Instead of putting it here, just to show you simple functions, okay? It doesn't mean you have to do it because this is too simple, but I'm just going to do it as an example. And by the way, when you define a function, you always do the, if you look at this, okay, you always comment using the doc string here, everybody. I did not do that. I just want to save some time for lecture instead of writing this, okay? Notice that after each function, you will do the doc string to tell the user, the reader, what the purpose of this function is, okay? And notice this is the inline documentation, right? So make sure you remember that when you do your project. I believe I have that here also. Documentation, everybody. It's 5 points. So make sure you document your program, okay? That's what I meant. So you need to document it. And some of you are having that great habit of documenting your function, your code. That's very good. Okay, I'm going to define another function, display. Let's call it display. Okay, give me a number, I will display it. It's meaningless because you can simply do it here with one statement, right? But I'm doing it so that you see what a function does, okay? Display, give me a number, I will display it as a string, okay? So this is what you give to the function, the argument, right? And so here, I will just copy this statement. Okay, so the increased value of number is, so instead of new num here, what should I put? What should I place here, everybody?
Number.
What should I place there?
Num.
Num, Justin, you say num. Anyone else?
Number.
Number, anyone else? Or you can type in chat. We need to make this number. Why is it number? Because number is the past argument. That's the name of the argument. That's the placeholder. So that's the variable. So you are going to use number, okay? And now I can really delete this statement and just call this function, right? I can call display, and everybody, because this is simply print out, right? So you do not really return anything. You are just displaying. You have finished the task. So you can have an optional return. It's optional, right? You remember that. But if you don't have it, that's fine. So here, I will call the function display, and what should go inside as the argument, everybody? If you want to put it, that's very good. Yes, that's the number we want to display. We don't want to display this. We don't want to display this. We want to display this. This is the increased value, right? New num. Okay, so let's run. And now look at this main function, everybody. The main function is getting two numbers and then calling functions. And you look at it, it's not messy, it's very clean, it's very organized and very easy to understand. You look at this, you know, oh, you're increasing that number, right? What does this do? Oh, you are displaying it. So it's very clean and organized and easy to understand. That's the one of the benefits of having functions. So let's run. Enter a number. And another number, 90, okay? And you can see the increased right? Increased value of number is 113, and that's correct, right? The increased value of number is that. So that is, here we have defined the two functions, right? We are doing everything with a function here. So you are really just calling functions in your main function. Any questions, everybody? Do you want another example? So
Please don't talk.
let me share. I need to share my screen, right? So what we want to do is we have the new number, okay? We want to see where that number falls. Is it within the 1 to 100 level? Is it within the 100 to 200 level? Is it within the 200 and 300 level? Let's give it a category, right? So that's what we will do, the next function. So you will evaluate this new number and see where it falls. And you can do that right here. You can use an if-else statement, if, else if, else if, else if, right? Elif, elif. In Java, it's else if. Here, it's elif. A statement to do that right here in the main function. But because it will be messy, because it's a long if, elif statement, we will define a function to do that. So I'm going to define a function to do that. Okay. So def evaluate, I will just say evaluate. Evaluate, categorize. How about we just call it categorize? Okay, give me a number, I will categorize it. Okay, so how do we categorize this, right? We will, yeah, I will not return anything. I will just print it out. How about that? Okay, so if number is greater than or equal to 0, right? And number is less than, where is less? Oops. Less than or equal to 100. Okay, then we will print out within the 100 range, okay? So we will print out that. Else, elif, you remember, number is greater than or equal to 101, and number is less than or equal to 200, and we will print out between 100 and 200, right? Let's do one more. I will just do one more, okay? Elif number is greater than or equal to what? 200, and number is less than or equal to 300. We will say between 200 and 300, okay? So, and then with all others, we will say else above to 300. We cannot go on. It's too much, right? Too many categories. So here is a function. Okay, let me ask you, do we need to return anything, everybody?
No.
No, we don't, right? We are just making the decision and print out a message. Can you return anything? Yeah, if you say, okay, give me a number, I will know which category it is. Then you can say, if it's between 0 and 100, return 100. If it's between 100 and 200, return 200. You can do that too, and let the main function deal with it. But here you are dealing with it right here. You're printing out the message. So we don't need to return anything. And we just, you can have an extra and optional return statement. So now we can really categorize it, right? Categorize. Okay, new num. Okay, let's call it. So you see, here is the function. We defined it. This is the messy code. And here is the function call, right? Give me a number, I will categorize it. And so what do? We will save and run. Okay, enter a number, 100, 400. Okay, so you see it says above 300, it's too big. The increased value of number is 500, right? All this is correct if you look at our code and look at the output, everybody, right? So look at your main function once again. It's very clearly understandable and it's very organized. It's a list of function calls, basically. You're calling the function to do each little task, right? Okay. And those are the functions. And you not only can categorize this number, you can call, that's what we said. Remember, everybody, I said, when you have a function, you can call it anytime. You can use it multiple times. You can reuse it instead of redo the code again and again, right? You can categorize any number. So let's see, I'm calling this categorize. I'm categorizing every number, right? It should be here. And you can even give it some instruction. You can tell the user what you are doing. You can say categorizing the first input, right? And you can do that with each. Categorizing the second input. And here, categorizing the added value. Okay, so you are giving the user the instructions, not instructions, the explanations of what you are doing. Okay, I'm going to call once again. And so I will enter a number. Can you see this? This is at the bottom, everybody. I'm going to close this and just kill it and rerun. Okay, so this is the program, and I'm going to run. Enter a number 560. Enter a number to add to the original number 200. Okay, so categorizing the first 100, categorizing the second input between, right? Categorizing the third, the added value above 300. The increased value of the number is 760. Look at the output, look at this program. Do you understand it, everybody? To make this output more tasteful, I will do this. How about, okay, after each one, okay, let's see. Okay, let's do this. Put a new line character there so that it will start on the new line. It will have an empty line, okay? I'm adding a new line character at the beginning. You can add 2 of them if you want to. So now let's run, and you will see it's formatted a little bit better, right? Okay, so now it's formatted a little bit better because of this added new line character there, right? Okay, so if you look at this, everybody, you know that a computer is really a tool that you can control. You can decide what to do and how to do it and how to display things. You're in control. That's why when I wrote my first program, I really felt so powerful, so in control, because what you tell the computer to do, the computer correctly, right? You have to tell the computer correctly, and then the computer will do it. It's very exciting and very rewarding if you think about it. The immediate feedback is very rewarding. That's why computer science is very difficult, but at the same time, it's really very interesting, exciting, rewarding, and money-wise, it's extremely rewarding, right? So, okay, any questions about this? So this is the end of chapter exercise in chapter 5. So what roles do the parameters and the return statement play in a function definition? The parameter is a placeholder. If you think about it, okay, with math, you will have some function, a formula, for example, you have x plus y, right? Z is equal to x plus y. And then if x is 2, y is 3, you add them together and z is 5. This is the same thing. So this x with the math formula, this x and y are placeholders. They are variables. The parameters are the same. They are simply parameters, variables, placeholders. If you look at this, right, they are simply placeholders. So here, when you define the formula, in this case, it's not formula, it's a function, right? This is a placeholder, just like x. And when you call it, you give it the actual value, okay? That is the 2 or 3 or 5. So here, instead of giving a number, you can give it 450, right? That's the actual value. And when you save it and when you call, it's correct, right? So this is just the actual value. And in this case, these variables already have a value. And here, this is the formal parameter. This is the placeholder. Okay. So that's what that parameters do. They are placeholders, variables, functioning as a little box. You give me a value, I will put it in and give it to the function body. The function body will get the value from the little box and perform on it, perform actions on it, right? And return statement will give back the value, a value, the result, whatever you intend to calculate, it will give back the value. Or you don't have to have it if you are not giving back anything. You simply say return. It will go back to the function, whoever called it. So let's look at this. When you call this function increase, right? It comes here and perform these actions, and it brings back num. So this function call is actually, after the execution, it's replaced by num, right? Because this function call will give you back a value, and that's num. So it's replaced by num after it exits. It goes back, the function goes back to the caller. And this one is replaced by all these code. And at the end, because when you call it here, the system, the flow of control will come here, will come to this function and do everything. And then return means goes back to the next statement. It goes back to this statement. Okay, that's what the return do. Okay, now I will let you do 2 and 3. let's do 2 and 3. Yes, we have 1 hour. So I want to finish all the exercises. 2 and 3, let's do 5 minutes and see how you do. If you can finish, that would be great. If not, I will give you more time. Okay, everybody. This is decide if it is even, right? So you define a function called even, and if x is less than 1, the number is too small. Else, if x modulus 2 is 0, your number is even. If x, your print number is odd. And your main function is you get an input from the user and you simply call the function to print the message. Okay. Yang, let's run it. Did you run or did I not see it? Yes, yes, very good. Okay, very good. Okay, so with this function, everybody, if you look at it, it's printing out the message right there. So anyone who did it differently? Okay, and Yang, thank you. Anyone who did it differently?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so Omcars, so you did number 3, obviously, also. So define even, accept a number. If number modulus 2 is 0, return true. If that doesn't work, return false. And this is I would say, the more correct version. Okay, because with this type of function, you really want true or false, because you only, okay, here is the thing, everybody. When there are only 2 scenarios, you always make it a Boolean variable or Boolean function. So a number is either odd or even, right? So you will do the true or false. Okay. And then you call the main function get a number, and while number is not 0, so he obviously did number 3 already. Print even, true or false. Okay, let's run it. False, false, false. Okay. Okay, very good, very good. Everybody, look at this. This is correct. This includes number 3, I believe. Right? Number 3, add a loop to it so that the user can keep performing this task until a 0 is entered. Everybody look at his loop. That's correct. Number is not 0, you continue. Once it's 0, you stop. Very good. Let's stop, Omkar. Yes, good, good, very good. Very good, thank you. And if you look at it, okay, let me record that. So the disadvantage of that is that sometimes the caller doesn't want to see the message. The caller wants to use the returned value, true or false, right? To use it, for example, you use the function in an if-else statement. So you will say, if this number is odd, I will do something. If it's not odd, I will do something else. In that case, it has to return true or false. If you print out a message, that will not work. But what Yang did is really based on what we learned in class, and that's excellent. But to make this function more useful, you want to make it like this, a Boolean function. Okay, good. Okay, so we do number 5, right? So first, I need to define the the odd function. We did the odd function, right? Give me a number, I will let you know if it is odd. So what I do is you can do a simple, instead of if-else statement, you can actually just do a simple number modulus 2, right? Let me just do this. Number modulus 2 is equal to 1. That will give you, that means it's odd, remember, okay? This is the expression, right? Boolean expression. So if you give me a 5 modulus 2 is 1, no, that's true, because 1 is equal to 1, that's true. And if you give me 4 modulus 2 is 0, 0 is equal to 1, it's not true, it will return false. So you can do this one statement. You can, of course, can you do this? If number modulus 2, that's what you did just now, right? Modulus 2 is equal to 1, return true. Yes, you can. Else, return false. You know, yes, you can. Okay. But you can also simply do this one simple statement. This one statement replaces the if else statement. Okay, everybody. So that's one way to define it. I'm going to just comment this out or just delete it. You already saw that one. So how do we define the even function using this? Remember, this odd function will return true if it's odd, right? So using this function to define the even, you can simply say return the opposite of the odd number, which would be even number, right? Does that make sense? Not this one, not, right? No, in Python, I think it's not, not odd. Okay, let me explain it. Let me put this together so that, okay, so think about it, okay? Odd number, give me a 5. This function call, everybody, this function call will give you true, right? Not true will give you false. So 5 is not even, it's false. Okay, if your number, if when you call it, if it's true, it's 4, this will return false, right? Odd, it's not an odd number, and not false will return true. So this is utilizing the code you have already worked on, the logic. You just flip it, negate it. Okay, let's see. I am going to just delete all these. Okay, delete them. So let's do a simple call. Okay, odd. It will return true or false, right? I will print it out. Odd. Just print out true or false. You can do if odd print. Oh, I will do that. That will be better for you. If, okay, you are calling the function odd number, okay? If that's the case, print odd number, right? Okay. Else, print even number. Sorry, even number. Okay, so let's see. Everybody, if you look at this, this is calling the function. And remember, what does this function return? It returns an even or it returns true or false. So if this is true, it will print out odd number, right? If it is false, it will print out even number. So let's run it. This should print out true. Odd number, right? It's true. This is an odd number. It's true. I'm using the first input. So do you understand this, everybody? Look at this is a little bit more complicated. To simplify this, you can do this. Okay, instead of using what I did, you can do this. Give it odd or true, odd or even. Odd, okay, odd number. It's equal to, you can call the function, and this would be a true value or false value, right? This is what do you call it? The Boolean value. And then instead of calling, you see, it's really the same, right? Instead of doing that, everybody look at what I'm doing, right? So you understand it. So instead of doing call the function right here in the if, you can use the Boolean value there. You can do that. So I think you may understand this better, right? But if you look at it, it's really the same as what I did just now. It's the same. So you can do that. If odd number is true, and you do that. Else you do that. And you can simply do this actually, because odd number is either true or false. So it's a variable. Its value is either true or false. If true, you will do this. If not true, you will do that. So there are all kinds of ways to do this, but I will do the simplest, the easiest to understand way so that you don't get confused, okay? But if you feel that you can understand what I said, you can look at the other ways. So this is telling you if it's an odd number or, so let me enter another number, right? Run. Okay, enter a number. I will enter 34. That should be false, right? Even number. The Python shell window. Okay, I did it twice. So this 34 is an even number. That's what this is saying, right? 34 is an even number. So I will just take them out. Okay, that's that. Now let's test the even function. This is the opposite of odd. So you test it. Let's test. Instead of using odd, we call the even function. Okay, notice even is not odd, right? Let's run it. Is it an even number? Oh, it says, oh, because because here, let me change this just to make it more meaningful, right? Because I changed it. I'm calling the even function, so this should be even. And this should be odd. If it's true, it's even. If it's not true, it's odd. Okay, let's run it again. So I will enter 34. It's even number, right? Let's enter 35, 45. It's odd number. So that is using the odd function to define the even function. Any questions, everybody? And this is how you call it, right? This function returns a Boolean value, and you assign it to a variable, and you test that variable, see if it's true or not true, and you print out the corresponding statements, okay? And this is how you define odd. I gave you the other version already, you remember, and define the even function using the odd function. You simply use the logical not. Remember, not and or, they are logical operators. Not simply negates, so it negates the value returned by odd. So odd returns true, not true is false. Odd returns false, not false. Okay, everybody, any questions? So you just define this function right here, okay? Remember, that is the main function, right? So define this function, what do we call it? Summation? Summation. Give me two numbers, one low, one high, right? So we need a low and a high, okay? And now it's the function body. So because we are accumulating the sum, we need to have a variable to store the accumulated sum. So let's declare a variable total. And
Can you share your screen? Sorry.
I'm not.
No.
I'm not sharing. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is what I have right now. Okay, I call it summation, and it accepts a low number and a high number. That's the range. Recording, right? And then because we want to accumulate the sum, we need to declare a variable so that we can put the sum in it, right? Because it changes. So for sum, you always initialize it to 0. For product, you always initialize it to 1. So we initialize it to 0. And then we use a for loop, right? We have to use a for loop. For this count or I or whatever in range, well, low is included, high is not. So we need to do high plus 1, right? This way, high is included also. And total equals to total plus I. Because I, the first time it will be low, the second time it will be low plus 1, third time low plus 2, etc. Right? That's the number. You can make it count number, whatever you want to call it, but that is the variable I'm using, so it's the I. And this is how you calculate the total. Once you calculate it, you are done. You need to return it. Okay, return that total. So now let's do this. Okay, I'm going to get two numbers. Let's call it num1, and this is num2. Okay. And then I'm going to just delete this. We don't need it anymore. Then we will call the summation. Okay. Summation returns a number, so you need to store it in a variable because it returns the value. So let's store it, okay, in a variable called sum. And we call summation, right? Give it number 1, that's the low, and number 2, that's the high. Okay, of course, you can test and see if number 1, a good function, a solid, robust function would be, you test if low is less than high, you do it this way, right? If high is less than low, then you need to go the other way. Just start with high and go back to low. So I did not do that. That's the testing. You can do that later on. Just to make it robust. Otherwise, what if I give you number 1 is 100, number 2 is 50? Then you cannot do it, right? So that's the situation you need to consider, and you need to use the if-else statement. If number 1 is, if low is less than high, you do this, right? If low is greater than high, then here you will put high, and here you will put low. So it's that. Okay, now let's print it out. The total is, and I will just use this instead of string casted. Okay, let's run it. And enter a number, let's enter 10 and 20, and the total is 165. Okay. So that will give you the total. That's enter 1 and 100, and that's correct. If you look at that number, you know it's correct, right? So that's how this is done. Any questions about this? Everybody, any questions? Do you understand it? You hide this detailed coding behind a simple name, summation. So here you just use that simple name and pass it number 1, number 2, the range, and it will give you the number because it says return total. Okay. I don't know, so it seems we don't have much time. So let's do, I will do number 7 and number 8, okay? Just to give you some examples, and you can go back and watch this video again. When you do your capstone project, if you have problems, come back and watch this video. Define a function named user guide to tell the user what this Python script does and call it in the main function at the beginning. And define a function named end to thank the user and say goodbye, call the function at the end. Okay, so I'm going to define a function. Another thing you need to remember is the order of the functions. The order doesn't matter. You can put the main function in the middle, but you can put the other functions, you can change the order. However, the last statement will be this. This will be at the end of the script. That's very important to remember. Okay, but other than that, the functions can be in different orders. So define a function named user guide, right? So I will just call it user guide. And this is just telling the user what the Python script does. So you are not accepting anything. It's empty. And you simply print this program will do whatever it does, right? That's the that's the user guide. You are giving instruction, just like when you go to a museum at the door, they give you the instructions, right? So that's that. And define another function. And remember, this return is optional. Define another function, which is called what? End, to thank the user and say goodbye, right? So end, sad, but everything must end. So print, thank you for visiting, right? And go to the next line, goodbye. And that is it. Okay, so now at the beginning of the main function, before we do anything, we want to tell the user what this program does. So we need to call the user guide function, right? So we will just call it user guide. That's the name of the function. And then at the end, I'm telling you here, right, in the instruction, at the end, you call the end function. So at the end, you call the end function. Okay, let's run. Where is it? Here. I'm going to, okay, I'm going to run. Why does it not? Okay. Okay, so so you see this program will do, okay, that's the user guide, right? If you want, you can add a new line character there. That will look better, right? So I added a new line character there. And this one also, you can add a new line character so it spaces out and it looks better, easier to read. Okay, so you can see that's the new line character functioning there, and this is the user guide, and you will give the actual detailed description. Enter a number, I will enter 23, enter another number 45, and the total is, it calculates the total, and then this is the end function functioning here, right? That's the end function. Okay, when you call end, it will come here and execute this statement. Okay, that is it, everybody. Once again, I'm saying, go back, I will go back and look at this again. Okay, I'm going to stop this recording.